And we're rolling. No sleep till Brooklyn. Cheers, friends. Got the Stone Wolf Cup. Thought that might be appropriate for an Animalic and Challenging fragrances video. I'm sitting here waiting for the inspiration of a cool and witty intro. That's yet to come to me. But we're working on it. One of these days, I will have something witty to say to usher you into one of my videos. Till that time, we're going to do a little housekeeping. This is Black Rifle coffee, and it's, I think it's called Spirit of 1776. Kind of a medium blend. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's better than Dunkin', but not as good as some of the other ones I've had. Okay. We're going to get into what I've been sampling. And I have been going through this little decant of Equipage. I've started into the House of Hermes over the last few months, and starting to think that Equipage should be in my collection. I like it very much. It's very old school, obviously, but I like it. I like the dry down. The dry down's really good. I have been sampling this. Now, I've smelled this in passing, but I never gave it much attention. I kind of wrote it off as just kind of feminine, powdery. But in revisiting, this is Guerlain's Shalimar EDP. In revisiting this, I'm finding that this is a very good fragrance. Very good fragrance. I ran through that entire decant. I was really enjoying that. Okay, scent of the day. Scent of the day. I picked something that some might consider challenging. Certainly off the beaten path. This is a fragrance from Map of the Hearts, and this is called Purple Heart V5. And this is a really good fragrance to me. It's a really good fragrance. It's very thick, very syrupy. Here's the box in case anybody wants to see that. Kind of a cool presentation. It's cherry and plum, a thick, rich, syrupy cherry and plum, dark. To open up, it's got rose violet and licorice in the middle, and again more dark. And then ink, vetiver, amber in the base. So this is a dark, heavy fragrance. I really like this. I had it kind of piled up back there underneath some stuff, so I was like, wait a minute, I haven't worn this in a while. So I kind of pulled that out. Great bottle, great presentation. Really good fragrance. Some might think it's a little hard to wear or a little challenging, but I like it. Yeah, so I had a subscriber ask me what the most animalic fragrances in my collection are. And I thought, okay, why don't we expand that out to challenging as well? Not only animalic, but challenging fragrances in my collection. Now, I have to preface what I picked out with the fact that a lot of these I like, so even though I consider them challenging and animalic, that doesn't mean I don't like them or that I won't wear them. Some of these are you would consider commonly thought of as challenging and animalic. Some of them, even for hardcore frag heads, are way challenging. There are a few here that even I consider, almost unwearable or real challenging to pull off. But not many. The most of the ones that I picked out, I either maybe hated them in the beginning and then grew to love them, or enjoyed them and then learned to appreciate them, to wear them even, but whatever the case. So animalic and challenging fragrances in my collection. This is what we got. We'll start with this, which some might consider pretty challenging. I don't. There's more in this collection that I think is more challenging. and this is Rhinoceros. I think Rhinoceros is a great fragrance. It's whiskey. It's heavy duty. It's it's a powerhouse fragrance. I think there are others like Dodo, which I think is unwearable. T-Rex, which I love, but is a real power punch fragrance. Not a clubbing fragrance for sure, but Rhinoceros is certainly up there as far as the powerhouse challenging fragrances. I wouldn't call it animalic, but um, we do have quite a few animalics here. Okay, let's see. Okay, this may be one of the most animalic fragrances. Maybe two more that I have. This one is Oud Maximus by Bortnikov. This is a power punch. Um, Super animalic, fecal, furry. Although there's a really nice booziness that runs through this. The florals are fantastic. I think maybe when I first got it, it took me back a little bit, but at that point, I'd already been exposed to a Riege, so and some other Ouds. So this didn't hit me as hard as if it would have had I never smelled anything. To the average person, this is outrageous. So, Oud Maximus. Okay, something a little easier in my book, but others might consider this super challenging. And this is Hyde. Look at that juice. It's by Hiram Green or Hiram Green, and Hyde is exactly what you think it is. It's a smoky leather, super smoky leather. It's got some fecal assets like aspects to it, but it's mostly just barnyard leather and smoke. Really good. I like it. You got to be really cold to wear this. I mean, I suppose you could wear it in the heat, but um, it would get on top of you, I would imagine, even for me. Okay, so let's see what's next. Okay, so I really debated on whether to put these two in because maybe initially the night was a little arresting, but by the time I got the dawn, I had already become pretty accustomed to this kind of fragrance. So the dawn, or dawn rather, pardon me, um, wasn't as challenging to me as the night was the first time I smelled the night. Um, but now that I've had quite a while, a few years now, to really um, appreciate these fragrances, to the average person or even the average frag head, these are really challenging. But I've been thinking which of I have the moon as well. Which of these desert gems I like the most, and I wore this last night, and I think as much as I love night and as much as I love the moon, I think the dawn is my current favorite between them. Uh, Such a good fragrance. The rose, man, it's so good. Labdanum. Okay, let's see. Now, this is one of the first forays into oud, animalic, fecal, barnyardy. This is one of the first experiences I ever had, and I'll tell you, the first time I had a little sample of this. This is Ottoman Empire 2 by Arige Lador. Great presentation. Um, the first time I smelled this out of a decant, I'm not kidding you, when I thought that this smelled like a soiled baby's diaper. Um, that's the best way I could describe it. It sounds it sounds terrible, but that's what I thought of this. But I've had this for a number of years now, and I have really grown to love how beautiful this fragrance is. This is one of the better Ariges in my opinion. I have a few other Ariges that I could have put in here, but I don't find Russian Oud challenging. I think it's a chocolatey, oudy fragrance that's wearable even in the winter. Um, have Siberian musk, which I think is quite wearable. It's a really nice musk. It's got a little growl to the musk, but not so much that I could, put it on a list like this. This is maybe one of the maybe in the top 5 of the most challenging in this list. Um, there's no rhyme or reason to this list. It's just I just pulled out a bunch and we're gonna go over them. This is called Black Leather Jesus by 555 Perfumery. Yeah, I got this at Ministry of Scent. This is like foul in like a sexual way. Leather. It's sweaty. It's got a human. It's got a human feel to it. Sexual, dirty. Yeah, it's really. It's at times challenging for me. If I'm not in the right mood for this, I can't get down with this. But again, I've had this for a while, so I've really learned to appreciate what this thing does. But it is a power punch of challenging leather, uh, kind of raunchiness. If you ever brave enough, get yourself a sample of it. There's another thing from that house that I've been sampling recently. It's called Tippy Toes, from the same house, or Tiptoes, I think it's called. And that is a really nice fragrance. I have the decant here somewhere, but I might have to look into that one. That's not as challenging. It's really very interesting. Um, from the house of Bog or Bogue. Um, this is a limited release that he did for I think a Facebook group, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there were only 30 bottles or so made, and this is called Name by Bog. And this is a very smoky affair. This is very um, resinous, smoky, galbanum. Yeah, this is it's not campfire smoke. It's kind of it's almost industrial, I want to say. Name is very good, and it gets darker, rougher, and more punchy every time I open it up. I visit it every couple of months, and it's getting even stronger as we go. Okay, what's next? Let's see. Um, I've heard this whole line called unwearable, or not even in a good way, unwearable, not challenging in a good way. I've heard a lot of people kind of disparage this line, but I think it's very good. This is from Parfums Persona, and this is called Nameter, and it's really, really very good. It was a little confusing because there's a lot going on in this fragrance when I first got it. It took me a while to wrap my head around it. The notes are leather, castoreum, opopanax, cinnamon, tobacco, incense, oak moss, uh, vanilla absolute, and plum. Obviously, the plum attracted me to it. It is very confusing. It is very busy. The leather, castoreum, oak moss. It's yeah, it may be a little challenging, a little unwearable, but I like it for some reason, and I don't know. I kind of wrapped my mind around it, which took a while. Okay, what's next? Okay, this one is now person that wrote this comment, and forgive me for not remembering your handle or your name. Um, I think uh, mentioned this. Mentioned Diaghilev as one of their animalic fragrances on their list, and I thought to myself, I don't I don't think it's that animalic. Is it animalic? Yes, to a degree, yeah. But I don't think it's so animalic and challenging and crazy. I think it's a beautiful fragrance. I mean, it's just so well put together, so well blended. The materials, everything. Diaghilev is a stunner. It's an all-time stunner. but it made me think of this thing, and this is from the house of Alori. You can see the little tag there, Alori, and this is called Sheeper Oud Maharani, and I've shown this before. Look at this juice. That's like motor oil. This is what I consider challenging in that department. Animalic, Oudy, barnyardy, but it has all of those Sheeper accords, and man, it's so strong. Two little tiny squirts, and you're smelling it all day into the next day. This is challenging, I think, but I love it. It's such a great fragrance. Yeah, so if I were to make an actual list, this would go well before Diaghilev, in my opinion. Not to say that I can't see why people consider Diaghilev animalic or challenging. It's just, yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay, but very good. Afori is a house that's worth looking into if you haven't. Okay, back to Arige Lador. This is from one of his recent collections, and I've shown this before. And this may very well be, this and the next one may very well be the most animalic and challenging in my collection. Great presentation. I've shown this before. This is History of Oud, and this is Chinese Oud. Great bottles, great presentation. And it's not just bottle and presentation. Some might try to make the argument that it's, it's all about the juice, and well, yeah, that's true. But I think he matches the great presentation with great juice. But this is nuclear number one. This will be with you for the next day or so. Barnyardy, animalic. The first 2 hours are like, I don't know how to describe it, just challenging even for me, and I like super weird, super crazy, nuclear, challenging, barnyardy stuff, and this is near the top of tough stuff to wear. After that first couple of hours, it kind of smooths out, and it's really very beautiful. I'm a big fan of Chinese Oud. There's a few others from that line that I wouldn't mind getting my hands on, including some of those Atars. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on some of those Atars that he has, but they aren't cheap. So this one wasn't cheap either. This was mad expensive. Okay. And I think we are getting down. Like I could have, and I thought about it. I could have put in a bunch of decants that I have. I have a bunch of like indie oud releases that I have, real oud, and I have one from a house called Phoenicia Perfumes, and the owner and perfumer's name is David Fallsberg, and he's put out he puts out really good oud fragrances, a fruity kind of an oud. He puts out really good stuff, and his Beguiling Glove and Deeper Glove and some of those are, kind of growly, barnyardy stuff, but he put out this one fragrance that's called PTSD, and this is his concept of what it was like to be in a coma, and some of the smells, bandages, hospital. There's a big, strange, orange kind of a vibe coming off this thing. It's one of the craziest fragrances in my collection. I'm still a year on trying to get next to it. Like I said, I could have put in a bunch of different decants and smaller things from around my collection, but I figured I'd just stick to the full bottles. And the last one that I'm going to show is one that I showed just recently, and it's from the House of Ajmal, and just gonna take this out real quick. And I can never really remember the name. It's got a long name, Dinal Oud al Moatek. And this, I would say, is probably the most challenging barnyardy, animalic, fecal, crazy oud in my collection. This probably takes the cake over just about everything else. Yeah, I can't think of anything. Even the Arige stuff is kind of tame compared to this. The opening lasts for a good 3 hours, and it is tough even for me. Like super animalic. I really got to look into more of these. Got to look into more of these Ajmal Batars. They're really nice. The dry down of this is phenomenal. Really, really good. Okay, I think we got everything in. I think we included everything. That's my challenging animalic video, friends. I'm gonna start making some of these videos of different things. Some of my favorites, favorite leathers, favorite florals, favorite, whatever's, favorite bro fragrance. Like I'll start making some favorites in my collection videos. Next up, I'm going to, just do my, week in review video that'll be coming up soon. So I really appreciate all the support, all the love. If there's anything about any of this stuff that you can teach me, anything, many directions you can point me in, let me know what your most challenging and animalic fragrances are in your collection. Always appreciate the interaction in the comments. You guys have a great night. Stay grateful. Peace.